And we're back. Welcome back to JP Street Performance. Back with a little mini lathe upgrade. A commenter on one of our previous videos, and if I butcher the name, I'm sorry ahead of time, but it looks like it's Jerion Osterman. Gave us some part numbers for some needle bearings off of Amazon. So thank you very, very much for the tip. We're gonna go ahead and put some needle bearings in all of our adjusters here. One thing we did get done is we got our quick change toolkit attached to the system. I'll show you how I did that. I've seen a couple different ways of doing it, but we'll get this video started. Thanks, guys. Okay, so with the quick change, one thing to note is on the original quick change, there's the little stopper. You'll need to take that out with its spring. Save it for just in case you ever want to use this again. So what I ended up doing is on this Amazon quick change kit, it comes with multiple bearings, but I ended up using the new rod that came with this system. But I just took the base plate, and it's a little loose, but it doesn't really matter. I just drilled out the hole. I measured that with a mic and found my closest drill bit. And so that actually gives me the ability to attach this thing without modifying anything on here. I didn't want to have to shave this off, so just in case I want to reuse that for any reason. So I just modified this base plate. That goes there. The new stud goes in. Take the old stud out, put the new stud in, and then that way you can turn it wherever you want it and then still tighten it down. I was using, because the thread pattern is the same, I was using this with the handle here, but as you can see, it snapped off. It was already cross-threaded, it looks like, from when I got the lathe. So I'm gonna try to see if I can get that piece out and put a new hardened stud in there, and then that way I can have this handle up here and not have to use a nut every time. So I'll put a link down in the description for where I bought these on Amazon. But there are the part numbers. Again, one of our viewers on the channel is the one that gave us this information. So again, we really appreciate that. So first thing you want to do is start by loosening all your locker nuts on all your adjusters. And then we're going to take these off and throw in some needle bearings. Okay, we got the first one off. There is a little keyway to be aware of. So you want to remove the keyway. It just pulls out by hand. So that way you can put your needle bearing flush against the housing. You can see where the housing's already been rubbing, and you can see there's some play in the shaft. So this will help keep everything nice and snug where it's supposed to be. Now, even though these come with washers, he did advise that he didn't use washers on his, so I'm going to try it without washers on mine as well. So this is one of the size 10. And we're going to our keyway back in here. Like so. There's our keyway. And then I'll go ahead and throw this handle back on. I got a better view of that keyway for you guys. I flipped it around so we could see it. So go ahead and get that key back in there. I don't have my GoPros out here with me, so I'm doing this with my phone, so forgive me for the shakiness and all. It is also about 14 degrees outside, and I ran out of propane for my heater, so here we are. Okay, there we go. So that's like that. Okay, on this particular one, I ended up pulling it back off and putting a washer. So it's got one washer on the back side and then the needle bearing there. And then you just have to fine tune the adjustment to where it's not too tight and not too loose, but we can see there's no play in here anymore. Pretty easy to turn. Another thing to note here is that these are nylon locking nuts. Once I put the spacer in there, whether it be just the bearing or the bearing in the washer, the nut does not, the locking part of the nut does not have enough room to grab. So what I ended up doing is I took one of these 8 washers that are real thin, and I put it on here and then just flip the locking nut backwards so that the nylon grabs first. And now it's nice and tight. See that moving in there. So don't have to worry about the nut backing off, because before when I put it on, it was just, when I go to the left, it was just unthreading and coming off. So now it's, as you can see, it's turning with it. So, and then just fine tune it until you get the right. There you go. Just like that. Just gonna do the same thing to this one, and this one. Again, another keyway. This one's gonna take the smaller roller bearing. It's the 8mm ID. This one works beautifully with no washers. Took out, there was a little bit of slop in there. Seemed to take out the slop. These will slide. So there's the bearing. You can push these out a little bit. So if you want a more accurate reading there. So same thing with this top one. The bearing's behind there, and then this will slide off that collar just a little bit and still work just fine. Okay, bearing done, bearing done. Let's move on to this guy. Bearing goes on. Your keyway goes back in. This one may not have room. It's because it's pretty tight. We'll see if it has room with the keyway. I may end up actually shaving the keyway down just a hair so it can have that bearing in there. If you look, it is just barely, where's my camera? There we go. Just barely encroaching on the keyway area. I just buzzed down my top of my keyway with a little grinding disc. There you go. Now there's clearance between the keyway and the bearing. So we'll grab our handle. There we go. Okay, that one's back together. One thing I did do is I removed this little guy. Every time I tried to roll this around, I would hit the back of my knuckle. I don't know if you can see that, but so I'd rather just have one on there, so got rid of the other one. That rolls nice and smooth now. And again, you can slide that forward, so that way you're up by your dial. You can also keep it back there if you want. I mean, there's a gap, but okay. Rolls easy. Rolls easy. Rolls easy. Everything is nice and firm on this thing. We'll do our final tailstock here. And this one, the keyway is short enough. You see how much space is in that keyway, so we don't have to worry about grinding that one down. All right, same thing with this one. I had to flip it around. That way the locking part of the nut would grab. That feels actually really, really good. So there you guys have it. Those are all right. So we're not going to use a needle bearing here. We have no need for one, but we are going to use a larger washer that came with the needle bearings, because It's a really thin washer, gives us a little bit more threads, makes me a little happier than what we had. So there we go. Perfect. Like I said, we're gonna end up probably trying to repair this. This makes it nice because then you don't gotta use a wrench. Anyways, you guys, here's some quick little upgrades for your mini lathe that just, I mean, it makes a pretty large difference. This just rolls. There's no slop in here anymore on any of these ends. There wasn't a lot of slop to begin with, but there was a little bit of, so now, just, it's tighter, it's more precise, tighter it is, so. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned till the next one.